Before we start this video, I just want to say I do not think that New World is pay to win, and if you're angry about what I say in this video, before you comment and you make your angry remarks in the comments, then please do me the honor of waiting till the end of the video. In this video, I'm going to see if I can pay to win in New World. So they have announced paid server transfers, and these are I think they're like $15, and the cooldown is every 24 hours. And I think you can possibly abuse that in two main ways, and I'm going to show you one of them today. The first thing I need to do is to identify a server that I'm going to transfer to. I think I'm going to transfer to Britia because it's like a medium pop server, and you know, it's in the EU, so I don't need to transfer like regions or anything like that. And I am currently on Barry. Now I'm using this website here, which is NW Market Prices. Just to see on Barry, we can see that maybe like Orichalcum ore is 335, whereas on Britia it's 274. So the simple idea is to transfer to Britia, buy the Orichalcum ore, transfer back to Barry, sell it, make gold. But whilst I'm currently on Barry, what I'm actually going to do is look at the things that are cheaper on Barry than they are on Britia. So for example, something like Obsidian Flux is 2.05 on Britia, whereas on Barry it's 155. So that's what I'm going to do now. Here I am on my alt. This is my alt. I'm only level 22, but I transferred myself over 100,000 gold from my main. I don't have anything really of any value or anything like that, but I am currently on Barry. So I'm going to go to the trading post and just start buying the things that are cheaper here than they are on Britia. I'm not going to spend too long on this because I just wanted to see if I can do it quickly, and I don't want to spend like ages putting a lot of thought into it, because then you could argue that it's not pay to win because you put so much like effort into it. So let's just do it quickly and see where we end up. So one of the things I am going to buy though is Obsidian Flux, and just to show that I'm not going to try and maximize profits here, you can see that, you know, there's quite a few with low quantity. I'm just going to look at this large quantity one and just buy that. I'm going to do that for a few little things, and then we'll transfer over. So I spent maybe like 20k there just getting some flux that I've put in my storage. I did have a bit of an issue that I instantly became full and couldn't move. That was a bit of a pain in the backside, but I sorted that now. Now I'm just going to transfer over to Britia. So let's do it. Now, what I'm not paying to win here because this transfer is still one of my free transfers. Obviously, I'm going to have to come back when the paid transfers are here to get back to the server that I'm on. Hopefully the server won't become locked. That's one of the issues, you know. So just going to transfer over to Britia. Then I'll sell my goods and buy the new stuff, and then I'll just wait until I can pay to maybe win. We'll see how much gold I end up making. I'm not super tryharding because I just don't want to spend that much time on this. As we wait, we see a menu. The menu's cool. Okay, so the transfer I think is hopefully done. Here I am on Britia. I believe this is actually an Italian server, so the chat won't be something I can comprehend, but you know, it shouldn't really matter. Orichalcum is Orichalcum, I would guess. Okay, so, I mean, the first thing I see is that the numbers quite, you know, there's not as many people, which does worry me. Maybe I'm not going to be able to sell my flux as much because, you know, it's just not going to be available, you would think. So I've just got on Britia, got on my new server, and the first thing I noticed is that, yeah, when it comes to the flux that I just bought, the website may be like slightly outdated, because on the website it says 2 gold and 5. Well, when I actually get into it, it's well, pretty much like 145. So not actually much cheaper at all. In fact, I'm going to make an executive decision here and to say I'm just not going to bother selling it. Okay, yeah, so I'm just not going to sell that. I don't want to. I don't think it's worth doing that. But what I will start doing is buying the stuff that I know is more expensive on my server. So obviously the classic here is the Orichalcum ingots. Yeah, we can see 258. It's way cheaper on here than it is in my server. I need to be careful that I don't overweigh myself. So I'm just going to buy this in like 1,000 chunks basically, and hope that I can move and put it in my bank. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to fill up with the gold that I have. Already off to a bad start, but probably because I'm a bit of a Dumbo rather than the theory being flawed. Okay, so I bought everything that I pretty much wanted to buy from Britia. I didn't spend all of my gold because quite frankly, I was a little bit scared. I had about 30,000 gold left, which means really I only spent about 50,000 worth of gold on Britia to then sell on Barry. And then the patch came out today, and so has the paid transfers. But I transferred back to Barry, my home server, Which, by the way, for anybody who's looking for a like PVX company, come and join us on Barry now that you can transfer. I'll leave a link to the company's website that I'm in. Anyway, I get over to Barry and obviously I just sell everything. Some of the stuff I just sell to the buy orders and some of the stuff I actually manually put on myself. If I tried to sell everything myself, quite frankly, I would probably get like undercut and it would just be a nightmare anyway. So I just wanted to get this video out there. I probably could have made more gold. So let's jump to the conclusion. How much gold did I make? Well, I made approximately 15,000 gold, and that's having probably only spent about 50,000 of it on actually useful stuff. The website looked like it was a little bit wrong, so the stuff that I took from Barry to Britia, the pricing didn't really make any sense. But when I was on Britia, I did manage to pick up like orichalcum ingots and ore quite cheap and then sell them on Barry. And I think if I did the maths out, it was probably more like 14,000 gold because I sold the Iron Guardman's insignias as well. Now, obviously the first transfer that I did was free and then the second one was paid. But if I would have paid for both of those transfers, I would have spent about £22 in the UK, which would be about $30. Now, would I spend $30 to try and make 10 to 15k gold? Probably not. And considering the fact that the more people do this, the more the prices will sort of even out and it will become less viable. But I just wanted to see if it was possible for somebody who I didn't really spend much time thinking about it. I just sort of transferred over on Sunday, used that little website to see if I could, get any advantage, then transferred back as soon as the patch went live basically. And I did make gold, but I don't really think that it's a massive problem just because I made a bit of gold. As I said, the prices will balance out. I just think 24 hours as being the limit for the cooldown is a little bit silly. I think all you really need to do is make the cooldown 7 days or maybe even 14 days, something like that. And then you'll just sort of like completely cut out the effectiveness of this method. So let's just talk about like, why is this possibly pay to win work? Why is it not? I got a lot of angry comments both here and on Twitter saying, you don't understand pay to win, Jay, etc. Quite frankly, my point was always that it's sort of pay to win if you can spend money and get an advantage over people who don't spend money. That's my sort of core definition. You can disagree with it if you like. My view is that there's sort of like a sliding scale. I think having the server transfers is not that bad, because quite frankly you need them for most people to feel like that they can move to their friends and stuff like that. I don't think server transfers are that bad, even if some people can abuse them. I'm not going to abuse this again, by the way. I'm probably like a one and done. Now, some people were saying that it's not pay to win because you have to go and do the work. Well, in this video I just wanted to show that you don't have to do any work if you're just going to abuse the market, because I literally just went there, bought something, came back, sold it, that's it. As I said before, I think the solution to that is literally just increasing the cooldown and you'll make a lot of people happy. Now, the other reason why people might say it's pay to win, which I don't really think it's pay to win, by the way. I just think there's like a little bit of an element of it which I think they could address. That element is that if you transfer to a quieter server and then farm all the rare materials, which my character is actually not able to farm orichalcum at the minute. I can't mine orichalcum, so I couldn't do this even if I wanted. But I could actually see myself doing that. If I'm on a really popular server, I could transfer to a quieter server, not worry about the 24-hour cooldown, and just farm the orichalcum because it's easier there than it is on my main character on Barry. Because if I try and farm orichalcum on Barry, there's loads of people there. And that's the advantage. You're paying to have the advantage of farming in a place where there's less people. And if you're doing that on a second character, then you're not really losing anything, apart from the money, of course. And the money to some people is not a problem. Now, well, a lot of what I was seeing is that, hey, you can just buy gold, Jay. Well, like, this is nothing new. Well, yes, but there's a massive difference between being able to buy gold, like, legally, or I realise it's sort of like abusing a mechanic, but doing it within the terms of service, rather than going on a dodgy website and buying gold. If you think they're equivalent, then we're not really going to agree. Just because you can do something that Amazon don't condone is very different from doing something that Amazon are permitting. So I don't really think that's an issue at all. My view is that obviously server transfers are needed, they're required. We need to have them in the game. Having paid server transfers all makes sense. And yes, I don't think there's necessarily an easy way of stopping some people who want to transfer and farm the materials. And yes, if you're farming the materials, I appreciate that you are still putting in work. You are still getting an advantage by not having those other people competing, but I appreciate you've got to put in work for it as well. My only real point to this is that I don't think it should be a 24-hour cooldown. I think that's sort of going to make it so that all the markets essentially balance out. Now, some people will tell you that just having more gold isn't paying to win either, because you still require skill. Yes, I appreciate you still require skill to win, but if you have two equally skilled people and one of them has more gold to buy better equipment, then that person is going to win. that means they've paid for that advantage. So you can abuse this mechanic to sort of pay to slightly win, but it's a mechanic that we need, and it's nowhere near as bad as other games. In World of Warcraft, you can straight up buy gold. Lost Ark is completely laughable on a PvE front. But I don't think people should be saying that it's not a pay to win element. It obviously and demonstrably is, because you're paying for gold using a system that is permitted by Amazon themselves. Now, I think this is going to be like a relatively controversial video. I don't think the game is pay to win. It's by far the best cash shop we have out there of almost any other game, to my knowledge. And I think the game is great, and I think having paid transfers is a requirement that we needed, and it's about time. It's just my only concern is that cooldown. If you make it anything greater than, say, like 7 days, I will be happy. And I personally will not be doing this again. I don't necessarily think paying $30 for 10,000, 15,000 gold or whatever is really worth it. But just know, some people will be doing it. So when you're getting outbid for your best in-slot item, just know somebody might have done this to outbid you. And that, I think, is a little bit wrong. Now that you've watched the video, do let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to get a lot of angry people on this. I still love the game. I still think the game is great. I just don't like the cooldown. Have a most beautiful day. Like and subscribe. Come and follow me on Twitch. Goodbye.